Hello and welcome back. This is Honeybee Create. Actually, create and visualize. But I see that from all the comments I get and from comments I get through email, here on the channel, but also through social media, I see that there is a need to look more into the core components of Honeybee, which deal with on how to build a Honeybee model. And I think because there are a lot of misunderstanding and there's a lot of questions, I have a lot of questions too. I'm also learning, but I understand a bit more now, and I'm happy to share what my findings are. I just want to say that I'm none of the developers of Honeybee, so I'm also just a guy who's learning Honeybee. Second, for this video, I'm using the Ladybug tools 1.3, so that not the legacy tools. Although I think some concepts are very similar, but I would. So if you haven't installed Honeybee, then please, when you download the Ladybug tools, there's a small text file, a README text file where there's a description on how you can find the exact installation procedure, and I urge you to follow it step by step. Don't miss anything, read everything, because it will save you a lot of hours. Believe me, reading this will help you. There's also a version matrix which you should look at, and just go to the link. It's on GitHub. There is a lot of explanation on how to install and what versions work together, which also includes all the external software you need, from Open Studio to Radiance to Energy, E plus Energy, and so on. I will not talk about the installation here in this video. And then third, I want to say that I think this video is crucial in order to really do any other analysis later on. If you can't build a Honeybee model, and it's the same for me, don't deal with the other things. So I think the basics are very important to really understand the rest. One more thing before we start. I had a very constructive comment. I will try to minimize my video during the screen share, so I make myself very small. If you don't like it, or if you even want to completely delete me here, that's also fine. Tell me if you would prefer that. I'm happy to organize my screen according to your needs, but I agree that if my video is too big and I'm here in Rhino, then I would just block a lot of the stuff I'm doing here, and it's not cool. I make myself very small here, and yeah, let's dive in. So if you're not yet clear what we're talking about, we talk about the Honeybee core components, which are the Honeybee core components. In this panel here, there are these 4 subpanels, which is create, visualize, organize, and serialize. And today we will look into this and a bit into the visualize portion. There's also Honeybee radiance and there's Honeybee energy. These are the components to do actual calculations, but we need to get this right first. And there are a lot of questions, and I had a lot of questions. I understand a bit more now, and I'm happy to share. So, okay, let's open. I will just open this here. You are in the Honeybee section, and this is in the create panel. And right at the beginning, there are these. So when we go through all these, it's a bit misleading that the Honeybee Deconstruct model is here right at the beginning. And also the Honeybee model is here at the beginning. We don't really need that for now. That we will later need. This is basically where all the rooms and surfaces and apertures and shades come together, and all the construction methods and so on, and the definitions and so on. That will all go into the Honeybee model. But in order to build, I think we need to start with the smallest component first, which is the room. And let's assume that I have a building, and let's say it's like a shed. It's basically a shed, and it's a building with one room. Let's check the second section here. Honeybee Deconstruct object. We don't need that now. We will need for sure the Honeybee intersect solids. I'll explain what that does. Honeybee planarize B-wraps. That is because the calculation with round surfaces is difficult for the third-party components, and it will planarize your model. And then we have Honeybee Room. Honeybee Room, that's building a room from faces. And then we have Honeybee from solids. And then we have these stuff here, Honeybee solve agents, adjacencies. Adjacencies, yes. Let's assume we have a very simple building. This is just a box, and this is my building. And in order to build a room, which can be also a full model, by the way, then we need this component here. Honeybee room from solids. And we just place the geometry here. I need a B-wrap container. I just link my model, and that's basically my room. It gave it just a generic name. Here is room number 126 because I was building a lot of stuff before, and Honeybee is so nice and creates a unique name for me, so there's no clash within. But I can give it a custom name, and that's actually a very good idea. So I call this shed. This is my shed. It's basically a building with one room. And then there are modifier sets. So the modifier set I will not go through this now. We will need that later for the radiance, Honeybee radiance, and also the construction set. It's basically defining more specific on what that building is, on how is it constructed, what kind of materials there are, and so on. Also the program, I can specify a program, and you can, for example, read here text for the program of the rooms to be looked up in the program type library. Let's check that out. See, in the Honeybee energy modeling panel, there's this Honeybee building programs. That's actually the one we're looking for. This specifies what kind of building that is. Yeah. So, for example, here I could put, let's say it's a small shed, but it's refurbished as a small office. That's my building program, and that will have influence on the calculation later on. And then you can see that when I look here, the room now is called shed. It's not called room anymore. This is my shed. And here I can add a Boolean toggle to tell a Honeybee that this room is conditioned or not conditioned. False means not conditioned. True means conditioned. And then we have the roof angle. We have a roof angle in, I think it's in degree, yes, which basically determines if a face is a roof or not by its angle. Let's say we have a higher, one side which is higher. Let's say this is my shed, and I could now basically determine my roof angle. I can define from which angle it's a roof and from which angle is not a roof. And I will show you that in a minute a bit better, more visualized. That's why we go into here. So now we have this model. I can turn it off. We have it in here. I can also turn this off. And now in the visualize panel here, there is all kinds of ways to visualize your rooms and models and so on. So there's one is called Honeybee Visualize All, that just visualizes everything like this. I don't find it very useful. This is pretty much the same. This basically just shows you the massing without the apertures. This shows you the normals. You can combine it, of course. It's supposed to show you the vector. I'm sure there's a way to show the vector. It's the point and the vectors. I guess it's so small that it doesn't show. It's funny because it's actually not that big, that model. Anyway, that's just something to check if your normals are correct, in which direction they point, in which direction your faces point. We can look at it another time, but what else? What else is there? The wireframe. That's very useful if you have, for example, if you calculate something inside radiance, for example, then it's very good to just show the wireframe of the building. And there's more. You can look at faces by attribute. We will go for the other ones, but I like to use this one. This basically shows you right away what all the different types you actually have in your, all the different possible types you can have in your model. Walls, interior walls, roof, ceiling, exterior floor, air walls, apertures, interior apertures, doors, interior doors, outdoor shades, indoor shades, wireframe. You can also hide that and just add a mesh. So the output is a mesh, and we could look at all my walls here. And now actually the wireframe is pretty useful because then we can see it a bit better. So we could look at walls. What else do we have? Do we have interior walls? There's no interior walls. You can see that right away. There's one roof, and there is a exterior floor, which is basically the ground level floor, basically touching the soil. That's what meant with exterior floor. But there's nothing else here. Now if I look at my roof, I could now check here and see when I'm going to a certain angle, it doesn't count it as roof anymore, but it's a wall now. So from a certain angle, it just becomes a wall. The default value is 30, so let's just keep 30. Honeybee automatically knows, okay, this on top is a roof, and these are walls, and this is the ground floor. What's also important to mention here is that there are also ways to look at, so you can label the room. Go here, and it labels your room. That's quite nice. There's also more in here. You could color your rooms. Now we only have one room, it doesn't make much sense. But we need to have the attribute, that's important, so we can for example go here, and it will show us okay, display name shed, or we can check the volume. What's the volume? Or we can check floor area, exterior wall area, and so on. Story, no story, just one story. So that's quite handy, especially when you then have more rooms. And what else? What else can we do? We can look for the face attribute. That's also very that's what I'm looking for. Face attributes, so we can display name face. That's here, it shows the area of the different faces, for example. That's a way to do it, but there are also other uses for this. What I think for me is even more important is this one. So that will basically annotate all your faces, and so this tool here, Honeybee label faces. And what's very important here is the face type. So you can see here roof and ceiling, wall and floor, and also boundary conditions. So this boundary condition is very important to understand. If Honeybee understands if is a room adjacent to another room, either below, above, or next to it, or is it a freestanding object which is bound to the outdoor. So you can actually see here boundary conditions everywhere here, except for here it's the ground level, means it's the soil, and outdoor are the walls, now seen as outdoor, and also the roof. So these are the objects I like to keep as to visualize. Now during building this object, building this model, it's good to have this on here. It's good to have these visualizing tools on, and every time we add something to the room, then we need to plug that, replug that you'll see what I mean in a minute. So now let's say we want to add a door. I actually showed that in the last video, but I want to just very quickly repeat that. So I have a door. That's a surface that cannot touch the edge. It need to be planar with my massing, but it's not allowed to touch that here. So door would be here. I just need another. Just take a face here, one surface, plug this in here. I have my door, and again, you can name that. It's a good idea. Some energy modeling actually need the names, the exact names. I call that main door. And then you can decide what kind of construction that is, and what the radiance modifier and so on. Meaning what kind of material and so on. We will not go through this now. Also here you can define that if this is glass or not with a Boolean toggle. It's not glass. I think this is the default is not. So let's not bother with it. Just in case you want to specify it more in detail. Back here, we also we want to have a window. Let's have a big window on that side. By the way, just drawing some shapes. You know, you can also model these in. You can also script them. You don't have to draw them. You can script your whole model if you want, and then use that. For right now, I think it's better to just do it this way, just to explain. Then I have windows. I need to do this with the Honeybee aperture component. Again, multiple surfaces, this one and this one. So these are my two windows. Of course you can have more, you can plug them all in here. And then we need Honeybee add subsurface. One thing what I learned using Honeybee and also Ladybug is that always read what's written in here. That helps a lot. Honeybee face or room to which the subsurface should be added. So basically we need to add our room here, and then we add our apertures. Just want to make sure that you understand it correctly. So when you hover over the whole thing, you get this kind of description. Add a Honeybee aperture or door to the parent face or room. That's what it does, what this tool does. If you hover over this, it gives you what's the output. The input Honeybee face or room with the input subfaces added. This is what's gonna be out. And then if you hover over this, you can see exactly what you should put, what you need to input in these slots. A Honeybee face or room to which the subfaces should be added. And then the subfaces can be Honeybee apertures and or doors that will be added to the input. So basically we can add both windows and doors, and Honeybee, this component will understand what you added. It will know, okay, you added 2 windows and 1 door. Again, with the window, there are radiance modifiers which define the material, what type of glass it is, how much light goes through, and so on. And so on, but we don't talk about it. There's another one here. Again, we can name these windows, and we can decide if you can open them or not. That also has some influence on the calculations. So now, in order to see that, the result, gonna hide all these. Don't need to see that now. Also hide these and that. And now we need to add all this here. So in order to see actually the outcome here, output here, let's go back. Face type, still wall, but here it says subfaces. To set to true to have the component labeled the window surface in the model instead of the opaque surfaces. By default it's set to false. So we need a boolean toggle. Let's borrow some from here. Copy. And we can put that here, and now we see, strangely, and I think it's a bug, but don't worry about it. It doesn't show you everything correctly. It's fine. I'm not using this too much, but what's more important is that it's all here. So if we go back, we can see, okay, walls, yes. There's something also wrong with this one. Oh, I put the wrong one here. That's why. It need to be here. Doors. Yes, now it works. So walls. We have walls. We have no interior walls. We have a roof. We have no ceiling. That's mean an interior ceiling. Exterior floors. Interior floors. No. Air walls. We don't have air walls. I will come to that in a minute. We have apertures. These are the windows. Interior apertures, no. Doors, yes, we have no interior doors, and we have outdoor shades. We don't have outdoor shades. The other way to add apertures is by ratio. Let's not go through that, but what we can do, we add a skylight. That's also by ratio. So we can go here and define a ratio. Need to be between 0 and 0.95, and again you can define if it's operable or, and also the dimensions. And again we need to put all these into here. And maybe now it's actually good to have a model, because if you put this in here, we don't need to plug so many things all the time. So I could, for example, put this in here, and we have all the rooms with all the apertures applied in here. But yeah, again, we can go through, we still have everything. Now we have a window on the top, apertures. These are my apertures at the moment. I hope it makes sense so far. What else do we have? So if you want to use the ratio per ratio, then it works exactly like the Skylight, just with the difference that you can select on which side you want to have the ratio applied, and that you do with the Honeybee face parameters. So you can decide which side you want to have your window, and then you add a ratio, and then you can decide other things, if it's splitting, if it's more windows on one side, and so on. We touched on that in previous videos, so just go back and have a look. What else? Shades. Add shades. Okay, let's do this. I want to add shades, and that's also very straightforward. It's the same way you can add shades by defined strategies, like for example extruded border shades. It just helps you to create a model which basically imitates the real life building. There's another one called, there's louver shades. So basically add shade is adding shades to your building. Now if I plug this in here, nothing happens yet because we haven't added anything. So outdoor shades, let's Opala. So basically what happens is that this component needs objects in order to create shades. For example, we could have like a shading here on that window, and just draw something very simple. It's just a surface here. Add a surface. And I defined that, no, sorry, that one more step in between. If you go here, you actually see that that it says here outdoor shades or indoor shades, and then it says a list of Honeybee shade objects to be added to the outside of the input Honeybee objects. Yeah, so in order to do that, we need the shade objects. The shade objects are these. So you can add custom shades. And we need to define the surface and we need to add it. So now this has become a shade object. You can also hide that again. This is my shade object and I'm gonna hide it here. But it's already visible in the wireframe. And now I could go here and check if we have shades, outdoor shades. Yes, we have a model. You can look at it and yeah. You can also always like make everything visible if you want by right click here on the symbol and it will cover everything, color everything. So now we have shades here and there's another important setting you need to go through is first of all you can attach a name again. Of course, you should do that. If we go further into this, it's always good. Then here a Boolean value, either yes or no, or true or false, if this thing is attached to your building or not. And then, very importantly, if you have indoor shades, then it's important that they're not used for the energy simulation, but they are used for the radiance calculation. Am I still here? Yes. Okay, so another way to add louvers and shades are these objects here. Honeybee extrude border shades, that's also possible. So I could do this and define the depth of the shade. I can also define if it's outdoor, indoor, and then again the E+ construction set or the radiance modifiers, and then put this in here, and then you have border shades around the windows. So for example, it would make sense, for example, that I don't have this shade here, but I actually place it here. That was stupid. Place the shade to the door, something like this. I'm a landscape architect, so apologize. So that's a way to add shading, border shades, and then also there's another way to add louvers. We can also add louvers if we want. Louver shades. So if I plug this in here, you can see that actually it created these louvers here on the top, and they can be split as well. Could, for example, add a slider here and create something like this. There could be distance between the facade and the window, facade offset, certain angle. Is there an angle to it? Let's do this. Yeah. Could put them vertical if you want. Boolean toggle vertical. You can do this, and you can still change the angle and so on. So you can see you have a lot of options on how to build your basic room. I think these are less important for now. We can look at that another time. We can just very quickly talk about it. So here, basically, it's about how to manipulate some of the geometry you already built by, for example, mirror an object, a honeybee object, rotate the honeybee object. That could be interesting if you use, I don't know, octopus, for example, and you want to rotate the whole object. That could be interesting, and you want to get a certain result. Move, scale, and so on. Add a prefix. That could be interesting. There's a custom ground. I haven't looked at that yet, but I think these are secondary things for now. Honeybee recipe settings. I haven't looked into that. Specify settings for the run of a recipe including the number of workers, CPUs, the project folders, and other settings. This component is intended for advanced users who understand that identifiers should be unique and that set them otherwise can have unintended consequences. Naming, Honeybee set multipliers. So yeah, this is really for advanced users. Let's stick with these what we have here for now.